Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpataruvyaschа Kripa Sindhuvya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Om
Bhagavate
Namo
Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
We need to get up. It's 10
Vasudevaya.
o'clock. अब मैं पानी फेंक
Om
दूँ.
Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Om Namo
Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, we welcome all of you to our weekly online Krishna book classes. Thank you very much for joining. We have with us here Auntie Neeta, Aja, Dipti Adnani, Hari, Joli Nandwani, Karuna, Manju Nihalani, Hinakshi, Priyanka Jha. My husband is there. Then we have Ritu Lalwani, Shailesh Latkar, Shantaram Latkar, Sheetal Latkar, Shivani, Sri Radhe Hari Devi Dasi, Swapna Latkar, Upasna, Vivansh, and Wendy. Okay. So in the previous class, we saw the killing of
Gods. What's their name? That elephant.
the elephant. Yes. What's the elephant's name? Anybody remembers?
Kuja.
Kuvalyapida.
Yes, Kovalaya Pida. Very nice. So Kovalaya Pida was given as a gift by whom to whom?
Can you repeat that?
Goes to Kamsa, but I don't know from whom.
Kovalaya Pida was given as a gift from whom to whom? So Aja
He was
said,
given a gift.
yeah, was
He
given
was
as
given
a
as a
gift.
gift. He was given as a gift to Kamsa
Yeah,
from Jarasandh.
Jarasandh. So what's the relationship between Jarasandh and Kamsa?
He's his brother-in-law.
Not brother-in-law.
Father-in-law, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, father-in-law. Who's the father-in-law and who's the son-in-law?
Jarasandh is the father-in-law.
Yes, correct. So it is described actually that when, okay, before that, Kuvalayapida had the strength of how many elephants?
10,000.
And Jarasandh captured him with the help of how many elephants?
100,000.
100,000 elephants. So it is described that after actually Kuvalayapida was conquered by Jarasandha, he was in the royal camp of Jarasandha, and one day, for some reason, he became very angry. He broke his chains and he ran from the royal camp of Jarasandha. And then he went to the mountains and he entered an arena where Kamsa was fighting. And what Kamsa did was he grabbed Jarasandha with his trunk and threw him 80 miles away. No, so that was the kind of strength that Kamsa had, Because Kuvalapida had the strength of 10,000 elephants, and Kamsa, he just caught the trunk of Kuvalapida and threw him 80 miles away. So just imagine the kind of physical strength that Kamsa had. No? And today, by the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Krishna, we will be seeing how Krishna kills this demon, Kamsa. So it was because Jarasandh saw how Kamsa has so much strength, and he threw Kuvalapida so far away with his bare hands, no, just by holding his trunk. Therefore, Jarasandh was very pleased with Kamsa, and that's when Jarasandha decided to give his two daughters in marriage to Kamsa. So that's how that marriage happened. Anyways, coming back to Kṛṣṇa book, let's see today's chapter.
Feeling of
So
concern.
Kamsa is the father-in-law, right?
Kamsa is the son-in-law, Jarasandh is the father-in-law. Jarasandh gave,
Oh, okay.
did I
Yes.
say the reverse?
No. I misunderstood.
Okay, so Jarasandh gave his daughters in marriage to Kamsa when he was pleased with the strength of Kamsa. Okay. So today's chapter is titled The Killing of Kamsa, chapter number 44 of the Kṛṣṇa book. Let's see. After Kamsa's wrestlers expressed their determination, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the killer of Madhu, confronted Chanura, and Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini, confronted Mushtika. Krishna and Chanura, and then Balaram and Mushtika locked themselves hand in hand, leg to leg, and each began to press against the other with a view to coming out victorious. They joined palm to palm, calf to calf, head to head, chest to chest, and began to strike each other. The fighting increased as they pushed each other from one place to another. One captured the other and threw him down on the ground, and another pushed from the back to the front of another and tried to overcome him with a hold. The fighting increased step by step. There was picking up, dragging, and pushing, and then the legs and hands were locked together. All the arts of wrestling were perfectly exhibited by the parties, as each tried his best to defeat his opponent. So this is a wrestling match. Normally in wrestling, how are the fists of the people who are wrestling? Are the fists closed or open?
Open.
Yeah, wrestling is always with the fist open, isn't it? But what Krishna did in this particular occasion was he invented a new method of wrestling. It is described in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, how he closed his fist and only kept his little finger open. No, so with this technique of wrestling, he was fighting the wrestler. And even the wrestler, he saw that Krishna is fighting like this, and because of his own ego and his own, he wants to protect his reputation of being a great wrestler. So he was also fighting with Krishna in that way. So it is described how Krishna in this particular wrestling match, he invented this new style of wrestling. He closed his fist and only his little finger was open. Actually, this is a very, very difficult way. If one wants to wrestle like this, it's very hard to wrestle that way. But this is what Krishna did. And Chanura also was fighting like that in order to protect his reputation out of his false ego. Okay, let's see next. But the audience in the wrestling arena was not very much satisfied because the combatants did not appear to be equally matched. They considered Krishna and Balaram to be mere boys before Chanur and Mushtik, who were the strongest wrestlers, as solid as stone. Being compassionate and favoring Krishna and Balaram, the many ladies in the audience began to talk as follows. Dear friends, there is injustice here. Another said, even in front of the king, this wrestling is going on between incompatible sides. The ladies had lost their sense of enjoyment. They could not encourage the fighting between the strong and the weak. Mushtik and Chanur are just like thunderbolts, as strong as great mountains, and Krishna and Balaram are two delicate boys of very tender age. The principle of justice has already left this assembly. Persons who are aware of the civilized principles of justice will not remain to watch this unfair match. Those taking part in watching this wrestling match are not very much enlightened. Therefore, whether they speak or remain silent, they are being subjected to the, what's this word? I'm not able to read here. To the
Reaction of
Actions
sinful
of the
activities.
sinful
to the
activities.
actions of
Sinful
sinful
activities.
activities.
Reaction.
Okay. So see, the audience, they see that this match is unfair because they are seeing Krishna and Balaram as tender boys. How old are Krishna and Balaram? Anybody remembers?
11.
11 or
Yeah,
12.
11,
11 years,
11.
right? They are 11 years old. They are actually 11 years, 6 months old when they arrive in Mathura, no? So they are seeing them as tender boys, 11 years, 6-month-old boys, and Chanur and Mushtik have bodies as strong as a thunderbolt. So they say that this is injustice. And actually, one should not even be a part of this injustice. They are saying that whether one is remains quiet or remains, see, where is that line here we saw? Whether they speak or remain silent, they are being subjected to the actions of sinful activities. So, which means that if you are part of something sinful that is happening, even then one has to take the karma of the sinful activities. See, this is why our acharyas explained that if you are in a situation, now one of the offenses is to criticize a Vaishnava. No? One of the 10 offenses of chanting the holy name is to criticize the Vaishnava. And if at all you are in a situation where a Vaishnava is being criticized and you may not say it, but if you are a part of the conversation, then one has to share the sinful reaction. So this is what is happening here. They are saying that doesn't matter whether they speak or they remain silent, but they will be subjected to the actions of sinful activities. One has to take the karmic reaction. So also another quality, Vaishnava quality here that we see here among these residents of Mathura who are speaking here is that they are very, very compassionate because they are not able to see this injustice. No, they see it as injustice. So therefore they have compassion in their heart, which is also a Vaishnava quality. And if you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, actually 10 shlokas, 10 verses are dedicated in the Srimad Bhagavatam on the discussion of women, that is on the discussion of women at that particular point of time when they saw this injustice going on. No? So 10 verses are dedicated to this particular section. But my friends, another lady in the assembly spoke out. Just look at the face of Krishna. There are drops of perspiration on his face from chasing his enemy, and his face appears like a lotus flower with drops of water. Another lady said, don't you see how the face of Lord Balaram has turned especially beautiful? There is a reddish hue on his white face because he is engaged in a strenuous wrestling match with Mushtika. Another lady in the assembly addressed her friend. Dear friend, just imagine how fortunate is the land of Vrindavan, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is present, always decorated with flower garlands and engaged in tending cows along with his brother, Lord Balaram. He is always accompanied by his cowherd boyfriends and he plays his transcendental flute. The residents of Vrindavan are fortunate to be able to constantly see the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, which are worshipped by great demigods like Lord Shiva and by the goddess of fortune. We cannot estimate how many pious activities were executed by the damsels of Rajabhumi so that they were able to enjoy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by looking upon the unparalleled beauty of his transcendental body. The beauty of the Lord is beyond compare. No one is higher than or equal to him in beauty of complexion or bodily luster. Krishna and Balaram are the reservoir of all kinds of opulence, namely wealth, strength, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. The gopis are so fortunate that they can see and think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Beginning from their milking the cows or husking the paddy or churning the butter in the morning. While engaged in cleaning their houses and washing their floors, they are always absorbed in thought of Krishna. So we should learn from the gopis how we can do our material duties. We can be doing our we can be doing whatever we can be doing, but still we can think of Krishna. There is no excuse why we should not think of Krishna. So when we think of Krishna, whenever we are doing any activity, then we make that activity a spiritual activity. So this is what the gopis are doing. They are cleaning their houses, washing the floors, whatever they do, churning the butter, husking the paddy, whatever they do, they are always absorbed in thought of Krishna. There's never a moment when they never think of Krishna. That is the exalted position of the gopis. And this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 opulences: wealth, strength, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. Actually, this is the definition of God. Anybody who claims that he is God, which many bogus people now in Kali Yuga claim that they are God. Anybody who claims that they are God, then they should fit into this definition. They should have all these 6 qualities. They should be wealthy, they should have strength, they should have beauty, they should be famous, they should have knowledge, and they should also be renounced at the same time. And they should have all these 6 qualities to the fullest extent. There should be nobody wealthier than them. There should be nobody more strong than them. Nobody more beautiful than that person. Nobody more famous. Nobody more knowledgeable, and nobody more renounced. So this is actually the definition of God into which Krishna fits. And who has given this definition of God? Which Muni? We have seen this in previous classes.
Vyadev.
What's that, Priyanka?
Vyadev.
Not Vyasadev. His name starts with a P.
Lord Brahma.
No, it starts with a P. P for parrot.
Parashar Muni.
Parashara Muni. Yes, Parashara Muni. Very nice. So Parashara Muni has given this definition of God. He should have these 6 opulences to the fullest extent, or rather unlimitedly. The gopis give a perfect example of how one can execute Krishna consciousness even while performing various types of material engagements. By constantly being absorbed in the thought of Krishna, one cannot be affected by the contamination of material activities. The gopis, therefore, are perfectly in trance, samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of mystic power. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that one who is constantly thinking of Krishna is a first-class yogi among all kinds of yogis. My dear friends, one lady told another, we must accept the activities of the gopis to be the highest form of piety. Otherwise, how could they have achieved the opportunity of seeing Krishna both morning and evening? In the morning, when he goes to the pasturing ground with his cows and cowherd boys, and in the evening when he returns with them, playing on his flute and smiling very brilliantly. So see, I want to read this line again. By constantly being absorbed in the thought of Krishna, one cannot be affected by the contamination of material activities. So sometimes people complain, oh, but we are in this material world. No, we have to go by what is around us. That's fine. We have to do our duties. But if we are constantly thinking of Krishna, then we will not be contaminated by material activities. We can still be spiritual, although we are in the material world. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the example of a lotus leaf. See, the lotus leaf is in the muddy waters, but this lotus leaf is never actually the lotus leaf has a wax covering. Okay, so when you try to put water on the lotus leaf, the water just slides away and the leaf will never get wet in that water. So the lotus leaf is in the muddy water, but the lotus leaf is not getting dirty, right? So we may be in the material world, but still while we are in the material world, we can remain pure, we can remain uncontaminated with material activities if we are constantly absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. When Lord Krishna, the super soul of everything, of every living being, understood that the ladies in the assembly were anxious for him, he decided not to continue wrestling, but to kill the wrestlers immediately. The parents of Krishna and Balaram, namely Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Vasudev and Devaki, were also very anxious because they did not know the unlimited strength of their children. Lord Balaram was fighting with the wrestler Mushtika in the same way that Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was fighting and wrestling with Chanura. Lord Krishna appeared to be cruel to Chanura, and he immediately struck him thrice with his fist. The great wrestler was jolted to the astonishment of the audience. Chanura then took his last chance and attacked Krishna, just as one hawk sweeps upon another. Folding his two hands, he began to strike the chest of Krishna, but Lord Krishna was not even slightly disturbed, any more than an elephant is when hit by a flower garland. Krishna quickly caught the two hands of Chanura and began to wheel him around, and simply by this centrifugal action, Chanura lost his life. Krishna then threw him to the ground. Chanura fell just like the flag of Indra, and all his nicely, what's that word? Fashioned ornaments were scattered hither and thither. So who has been killed now?
Chanura.
Chanura, yes. Mushtik also struck Balaram, and Balaram returned the stroke with great force. Mushtika began to tremble and vomit blood. Distressed, he gave up his vital force and fell down, just as a tree falls down in a hurricane. So now even Mushtika has been killed by Balaram. After the two wrestlers were killed, a wrestler named Kutta came forward. Lord Balaram immediately caught him in his left hand and killed him nonchalantly. A wrestler of the name Shala came forward, and Krishna immediately cracked his head with a kick. A wrestler named Toshala came forward and was killed in the same way. Thus, all the great wrestlers were killed by Krishna and Balaram, and the remaining wrestlers fled from the assembly out of fear for their lives. All the cowherd boys of Krishna and Balaram approached them and congratulated them with great pleasure. While trumpets resounded and drums were beaten, the leg bells on the feet of Krishna and Balaram tinkled. So, Chanur, Mushtik have been killed, and also Kutta, Shala, and Toshala have been killed. Who has killed Kutta?
Balaram.
And who has killed Shala?
Krishna.
And
And who
Toshala
has
by
killed
Krishna.
Toshala?
Krishna.
Toshala
Krishna.
also was killed by Krishna. Yes.
Krishna.
Okay, very nice. Let's continue. All the people gathered there began to clap in great ecstasy, and no one could estimate the bounds of their pleasure. The Brahmanas present began to praise Krishna and Balaram ecstatically. Only Kamsa was morose. He neither clapped nor offered benediction to Krishna. Kamsa resented that the trumpets and drums should be played for Krishna's victory, and he was very sorry that the wrestlers had been killed and had fled the assembly. He therefore immediately was very sorry that the wrestlers had been killed and had fled the assembly. He therefore immediately ordered the band to stop playing and addressed his men as follows. I order that these two sons of Vasudev be immediately driven out of Mathura. The cowherd boys who have come with them should be plundered and all their riches taken away. Nanda Maharaj should immediately be arrested and killed for his cunning behavior, and that rascal Vasudev should also be killed without delay. Also, my father Ugrasena, who has always supported my enemies against my will, should be killed. So, see, these are Kamsa's plans. He wants to kill Nanda Maharaj, he wants to kill Ugrasena, he wants to kill Vasudev. When Kamsa spoke in this way, Lord Krishna became very angry with him, and within a second he jumped onto the high dais of King Kamsa. Kamsa was prepared for Krishna's attack, for he knew from the beginning that Krishna was to be the supreme cause of his death. Kamsa immediately unsheathed his sword and prepared to answer the challenge of Krishna with sword and shield. As Kamsa wielded his sword up and down, hither and thither, Lord Krishna, the supreme powerful Lord, caught hold of him with great force. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the complete creation and from whose lotus navel the whole creation is manifested, immediately knocked the crown from the head of Kamsa and grabbed his long hair in his hand. He then dragged Kamsa from his seat to the wrestling dais and threw him down. Then Krishna at once straddled his chest and began to strike him over and over again. Simply from the strokes of Krishna's fist, Kamsa lost his vital force. So, what Krishna did, as soon as Kamsa said that you have to kill Ugrasena, Nanda Maharaj, Vasudev, plunder the riches of all these Vrajavasis. He just dragged Kamsa from his throne by his hair, pulled him down, and knocked him down with his fist. Okay, here the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the complete creation and from whose lotus navel the whole creation is manifested. So, who is this personality from whose lotus navel the whole creation is manifested?
Lord Brahma.
Lord Brahma.
No, that's
From Brahma's navel, the
Mahavishnu.
man, from whose navel?
Narayana. Mahavishnu. Vishnu, right?
Vishnu, yes, you are right. But now, which Vishnu is the next question?
Garbhodaka Kashaya
Yes,
Vishnu.
exactly. That's very nice. Garbhodakashai Vishnu is from the navel of Garbhodakashai Vishnu that comes, there is a lotus that comes out. In that lotus, Brahma is born. And from Brahma, then Brahma creates the planets, not the universes. Universes are created by the breathing of Mahavishnu. Brahma creates the planets within the universe or the planetary systems within the universe, and he creates the bodies, not the souls, but the bodies. That's why Balaram is, yes, he's the creator, but he's the created creator. He's the secondary creator. He's not the primary creator. So that's why one of Krishna's names is Padmanabh. He is lotus navel. And from his navel, the whole creation is manifested. So he's called as Padmanabh. Okay.
That's why we have Padmanabha Swami temple, right?
Yes, yes. Padmanabh Swami. You will see in that temple also.
Yeah, I have seen.
You have seen? Very
Yeah.
good. Okay. To assure his parents that Kamsa was dead, Lord Krishna dragged him just as a lion drags an elephant after killing it. When people saw this, there was great roaring sound from all sides as some spectators expressed their jubilation and others cried in lamentation. From the day Kamsa had heard he would be killed by the eighth son of Devaki, he was always thinking of Krishna with his wheel in hand. And because he was very much afraid of his death, he was thinking of Krishna in that form 24 hours a day without stopping, even while eating, while walking, and while breathing. And naturally, he got the blessing of liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. A person gets his next life according to the thoughts in which he is always absorbed. Kamsa was thinking of Krishna with his wheel, which means Narayan, who holds a wheel, conch shell, lotus flower, and club. So actually what Kamsa got was Sarupya Mukti. And one may question why he being a demon, he got Sarupya Mukti. The
Yeah.
reason was Kamsa was 24 hours thinking of Krishna. He
Thinking
was
of
Krishna.
always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna.
But
Now
not in a good
gopis,
way, right? Not in a good way. He is afraid. He's thinking how Krishna. Not in a good way. He's thinking about Krishna, right? Not.
yes, that's the difference between the gopis thinking of Krishna and Kamsa thinking of Krishna. Gopis are uh, uh, thinking of Krishna out of love, out of ecstasy, right? So, but Kamsa, he's thinking in a negative way, negative way. But
Negative.
whatever way he's thinking of, at least he's thinking of Krishna. Therefore, he was given Sarupya Mukti. Of course, the gopis, they don't get Sarupya Mukti. They get to reside in Krishna, in Krishna's planet, in Goloka.
Okay.
And they are a part of Krishna's eternal pastimes, unlike Kamsa. So there is a difference in the mukti, but still because Krishna is all good, whatever which way you think of Krishna,
Mhm. Okay.
you will get
Even if it
benefit.
is negative, we will get. So
Yeah.
what is Sarupa Mukti?
But ideally, we should not be thinking of Krishna in a negative way. Okay, we should always think of Krishna in a favorable way, not in an unfavorable way. And we should not think that, okay, we will also be demoniac, we will be villains, and then we will be liberated by Krishna. No, we have to be that kind of a demon also, where Krishna has to personally come and kill us. So remember, Kamsa has so much of strength, right? We discussed in the beginning of the class how he was able to throw Kuvarapira so far away. So we cannot even be that kind of a demon who will, for killing whom Krishna will personally come. So we should not think of Krishna in an unfavorable way. Always think of Krishna in a favorable way. Now, Aja's question is, what is Sarupya Mukti? Sarupya. Rupa means form. Sarupya means you get the same form as the Lord. That is Sarupya Mukti.
Okay.
You get the same form as the Lord, the most beautiful.
In next birth, mukti means will not come back to this world,
Yeah,
right?
not come back again. And he is residing in the Vaikuntha planets in the same
Okay.
form as the Lord. Okay, and in which form he was thinking of Krishna? He was always thinking of Krishna with the chakra in the hand, with that Sudarshan chakra, because he was scared that Vishnu is going to kill me. Vishnu is going to kill me. So therefore he
wheel
goes.
and console.
So he got the 400 Narayan Rupa. I mean, he was thinking of the 400 Narayan Rupa of Krishna, and then he got the Sarupya Mukti. Kamsa got the Sarupya Mukti. Yeah, Shailesh, you have your hand raised?
So I think Kamsa is one of the rebirths of the Dwarpals of Vishnu, right? They were cursed to have three negative births. They were given the option, and they opted to have three births as negative personalities, and then be back with Vishnu.
Those three births of Jaya Vijaya, the Dwarpal, the doorkeepers
Yeah.
of Vaikuntha, those three births are Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh, then Ravan and Kumbhakaran, and Shishupal and Dantavakra. Is not Kamsa. Okay,
My mistake.
no problem. So see here this statement in Bhagavad Gita, Sada Tat Bhava Bhavita, person gets his next life according to the thoughts in which he is always absorbed. So this is the verse here, 8.6, very, very important verse. Chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita is titled Attaining the Supreme. So Krishna says here, Yam ya vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So what is the next body that we are going to get? Depends a lot on what we are thinking at the time of death. Now, what is the, see this word, ante kalevaram, when at the time of death and the last moment, what is it that we are thinking is what determines what is the next body that we are going to get. Now, see in this picture, this person on her deathbed, she is thinking of her pet dog, right? So in the next life, she gets the body of a dog. This person here, he is driving. He's thinking of money. I don't know, maybe he's going to work or he's going for an important meeting or to crack an important deal. So he's thinking of money. And then he meets with an accident and then gets the body of a cashier in a bank where there is a lot of money, but the karma is not so good that you can actually enjoy that money also. So yes, there is a lot of money as a bank teller, but then you cannot even enjoy that money because Sukriti is not there. So you're getting the body of a bank teller. This person here, he's a devotee. He has dedicated his life in Krishna consciousness. So automatically at the time of death, he's thinking about Krishna. And in the next life, he goes to Krishna. He goes back to the spiritual world. So whatever state of being one remembers when he quits the body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Krishna is saying without fail. Now see here, one may say, but here Prabhupada writes, a person gets his next life according to the thoughts in which he is always absorbed. And here Krishna is only talking about what he is thinking of at the time of death. So both statements are correct. How? Because what we think of throughout our lifetime, by default, that is what is going to come to our mind at the time of death. Because that is our topmost priority. Now, what we dedicate to throughout our lifetime is going to come to our mind also at the time of death. Because that is what we are most attached to. So both statements are correct. This is, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that if you cannot come to the stage of Narayana Smriti at the time of death, then there is no use of this human life. You have completely wasted this precious human life if you cannot remember Narayan at the time of death. At the end of the day, that is what matters. That is what matters. Are you able to think of Krishna, of Narayan at the time of death? That's what matters. Nothing else matters. See, there are stories, not stories, but histories from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who is this personality? On the left.
And Ajamil.
This is not Ajamil. Here on the left.
Bharat Maharaj.
Yes, Bharat Maharaj, no? So he was thinking of?
His pet
His
deer.
baby deer.
Yeah, he's thinking of the deer at the time of death. See, Bharat Maharaj, he was the emperor. He had so much wealth, so much strength, so much fame, and he was able to give up all those comforts, royal comforts, and he went to the forest out of renunciation, and he was living in the forest, living a very, very austere life in the forest. So, which was very good. But then he developed attachment for a deer in the forest. And at the time of death, he was thinking, if when I die, then who's going to take care of that deer? So he was able to renounce his kingdom, his family, his wealth, his comforts, but he was not able to renounce the thought of the deer at the time of death. Because of that, in the next birth, he was born, he got the body of a deer. And here on the right side of the picture is, now Sri Hari Radha's answer is correct, is Ajamila. Ajamila at the time of death, he thought of?
Son Narayan.
He thought of his son, Narayan. He was very, very much attached to his youngest son, and his youngest son's name was Narayan. Now, because he was a very sinful person, he engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. At the time of death, the Yamadutas came to take his soul. You can see here in the picture. Yamadutas come to take the soul of a sinful personality. But if a person has led a devotional life as a devotee, then the Vishnu Dutas, they come to take the soul. Now, there is a difference in the Yamadutas taking the soul and the Vishnu Dutas taking the soul. Yamadutas just pull the soul, force the soul out of the body, no, and the soul is beaten, and there is a very, very graphic description of the journey of the soul with the Yamadutas. We'll not get into that now because of time constraints. But when the Vishnu Dutas take the devotee soul, the Vishnu Dutas take the soul with all respect. They are singing the glories, they are glorifying the soul as they are taking the soul to the spiritual world. So anyway, because he thought he led a sinful life, the Yamadutas came to take his soul. But because he uttered the name Narayan, although he was thinking of his son Narayan, but because that name Narayana is also the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Vishnu Dutas came to take him. That yes, at the end he has uttered the name of Narayan. No? So the Vishnu Dutas appeared there. And this was a very, very unique occasion when both the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas are face to face, and they are having a conversation as to who has a right to this particular soul. Usually they don't come face to face because Yamadutas come for the sinful souls and the Vishnu Dutas come for the devotee souls. So there is this conversation, and ultimately, then Ajamila is given an extra time to perfect his life. The Yamadutas go away, they are confused. They go and consult with Yamaraj. Who are these great personalities? And they came in the way of our bringing Ajamila's soul, no? So then Yamaraj tells them, gives them, there's a conversation, and he tells them about devotional service, about how Krishna is his Lord, and so on and so forth. And then the Vishnu Dutas give extra time to Ajamila. And then Ajamila's, he lives for a few more years. And now he realizes, no, after this incident, he realizes his mistake. And then he takes to Krishna consciousness. And then he dies in Krishna consciousness. And then he goes back to the spiritual world. So anyway, the last thoughts, or the thoughts that one has during one's lifetime, determine one's next destination. So the current body that we have is because of what we did in the previous life. But what we will be in the next life is depending on what we are doing in this particular lifetime. What we are doing now, our moment-to-moment decisions in this lifetime are shaping our next bodies, are preparing our next bodies. According to the opinion of authorities, Kamsa attained Sarupya Mukti after death. That is to say, he attained the same form as Narayan, Vishnu. On the Vaikuntha planets, all the inhabitants have the same bodily features as Narayan. After his death, Kamsa attained liberation and was promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. From this instance, we can understand that even a person who thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an enemy gets liberation or a place in a Vaikuntha planet. So what to speak of the pure devotees who are always absorbed in favorable thoughts of Krishna? Even an enemy killed by Krishna gets liberation and is placed in the impersonal Brahma Jyotir. Since the personality of Godhead is all good, anyone thinking of him either as an enemy or as a friend gets liberation. But the liberation of the devotee and the liberation of the enemy are not the same. The enemy gets the liberation of Sayugya and sometimes he gets Sarupya liberation. So what is Sayugya Mukti? Sayugya Mukti means what?
They get into Brahma Jyoti.
Ah, yes. Merging into the Brahma Jyoti,
Okay.
into the
Oh, but
light or
that
the
is
effulgence that is coming from Krishna's body. So that kind of mukti is called as Sayugya Mukti. And a devotee will never accept Sayugya Mukti because,
you feel bored there
yes, you get bored there. Why do you get bored there?
because it is nothing. It is just still silent.
Yes, you just exist. You just exist. There is no opportunity to render service to Krishna. So therefore, a devotee is not interested in Sayogya Mukti. A devotee will much rather prefer to even go into hellish planets. So, but at least in the hellish planets, he can engage in some service, some seva. So a devotee never accepts Sayogya Mukti. Actually, a
Mataji,
devotee does not want any kind of mukti. The only thing a devotee wants is, I want to serve Krishna even life after life after life. That's what a pure devotee wants.
I have a question, Mataji. That Sarupya liberation, you explained that person will get God's form, right? In which planet it is? It's in.
Vaikuntha planets.
Also, that person is also not going to come back.
No, he will not come back.
Oh, okay. That's what my question is.
Okay. Kamsa had 8 brothers, headed by Kanka, all of them younger than he, and when they learned that their elder brother had been killed, they combined together and rushed toward Krishna in great anger to kill him. Kamsa and his brothers were all Krishna's maternal uncles, brothers of Krishna's mother Devaki. When Krishna killed Kamsa, he killed his maternal uncle, which is against the regulations of Vedic injunctions. Although Krishna is independent of all Vedic injunctions, he violates the Vedic injunctions only in inevitable cases. Kamsa could not be killed by anyone but Krishna, and therefore Krishna was obliged to kill him. But as far as Kamsa's 8 brothers were concerned, Balaram took charge of killing them. Balaram's mother, Rohini, although the wife of Vasudev, was not the sister of Kamsa. Therefore, Balaram took charge of killing all of Kamsa's 8 brothers. He immediately took up an available weapon, most probably the elephant's tusk which he carried, and killed the 8 brothers one after another, just as a lion kills a flock of deer. Krishna and Balaram thus verified the statement that the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in order to give protection to the pious and to kill the impious demons who are always enemies of the demigods. So now who have been killed?
The
Kamsa's
8
8
brothers
brothers.
of
Kamsa's brothers.
Kamsa.
Kamsa's 8 brothers, and they were killed by?
Balaram.
Why did
Balram.
Krishna kill them?
Because they were their uncle.
Ah, yes. Because Kamsa and his brothers, they are all maternal uncles of Krishna, but they are not maternal uncles of Balaram, because Balaram's mother is?
Rohini.
Okay. The demigods from the higher planetary system showered flowers, congratulating Krishna and Balaram. Among the demigods were powerful personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and all joined together in showing their jubilation over Kamsa's death. There were beating of drums and showering of flowers from the heavenly planets, and the wives of the demigods danced in ecstasy. The wives of Kamsa and his 8 brothers were aggrieved at the sudden death of their husbands, and all of them struck their foreheads and shed torrents of tears. Crying loudly and embracing the bodies of their husbands, which lay on the wrestling dais, the wives of Kamsa and his brothers lamented, addressing the dead bodies. Our dear husbands, you are so kind and are the protectors of your dependents. Now, after your death, we are also dead, along with your homes and children. We no longer look auspicious. On account of your death, the auspicious functions to take place, such as the sacrifice of the bow, have all been spoiled. Our dear husbands, you treated persons ill who were faultless, and as a result, you have been killed. This is inevitable because a person who torments an innocent person must be punished by the laws of nature. We know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Master and Supreme Enjoyer of everything. Therefore, one who neglects his authority can never be happy, and ultimately, as you have, he meets death. So, what do you think about what these wives of the brothers are saying? Initially, they are lamenting that they have died, and later they are talking practical wisdom, because here they are acknowledging that because they have been tormenting innocent people, therefore they have been punished by the laws of nature. Therefore, they have been killed. Are they blaming Krishna?
No.
Are they feeling, do they have any ill feelings? Do they have any feelings of hatred towards Krishna, Balaram?
No.
No.
So they are acknowledging that yes, our husbands only were at fault and they have had to take the karmic reaction. See, Krishna is the supreme master and enjoyer of everything. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it's described that how Krishna is Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, means he's the beneficiary of sacrifices, penances, and austerities. Whatever sacrifices, penances, and austerities one does, ultimately it goes to Krishna. So he is the Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. He is the supreme enjoyer. In the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is described as Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the owner. He is the master of all that exists. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is a supreme proprietor of all the lords, of all the worlds, of all the, and also of all the living entities. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Krishna was so kind and affectionate to his aunts. He solaced them as far as possible. The ritualistic ceremonies performed after death were then conducted under the personal supervision of Krishna because he happened to be the nephew of all the dead princes. After finishing this business, Krishna and Balaram immediately released their father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, who had been imprisoned by Kamsa. Krishna and Balaram fell at their parents' feet and offered them prayers. Vasudeva and Devaki had suffered so much trouble from Kamsa because Krishna was their son. Devaki and Vasudeva were fully conscious of Krishna's exalted position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although Krishna touched their feet and offered them obeisances and prayers, they did not embrace him, but simply stood up to hear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Krishna was born as their son, Vasudeva and Devaki were always conscious of his position. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport, the 44th chapter of Krishna, the killing of Kamsa. So just see how after Krishna and Balaram have released their parents from prison house, now, of course, they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because they have appeared from the womb of Devaki and Vasudeva is their father, they are bowing down and offering obeisances to their parents, just as how a son would do for his parents. No, but because Devaki and Vasudeva, they are fully conscious of Krishna's position, they do not even embrace their sons. They do not even embrace their sons because they are seeing that this is God. This is God. So immediately their position is not like that of a parent who is being reunited with his son after 12 years, right? Their position is, this is God. This is God. So therefore, this is a difference of the rasa that Devaki and Vasudeva share as compared to the rasa between Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. No, Yashoda can run behind Krishna with a stick. She can punish him. She can tie him down with ropes. She can chastise him. But Devaki and Vasudeva, they do not even embrace Krishna because they are fully conscious of Krishna's position. Okay. Now what comes next?
Questions?
Before that?
Path life.
Yeah, the past life. Always before the exam, we see the past life. So whose past life we have to see today?
Kamsa.
Okay. And
The wrestlers.
wrestlers, which wrestler?
Chanana
Janura.
Chanura?
Mushtika.
Mushtika?
Uta,
Kuta?
Sala, Tushala,
Shala Toshala? Anybody else?
and 8 uncles. And 8 uncles.
Yes. So all the elder brothers of Kamsa. No? So
They're elder
Other-
or younger brothers?
I'm sorry, younger brothers. Yeah. Kamsa was the elder brother. They are younger brothers, correct. Sorry. So it's a whole long list, right? Many past lives you have to see. So what we will do is we will leave that for homework. It's there on your slides. You read that when I share the slides in the group. Here you have Kamsa, past life of the wrestlers, and the past life of Kamsa's 8 brothers. On that note, by the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Krishna, we come to the end of today's presentation. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Do we have any questions or comments?
I have a question not related to this class. We have been saying that Krishna's Leela still happening somewhere in some other universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
In similar way, Rama's life is also happening somewhere else.
Yes.
Only, okay.
Yeah. So whenever there is usually that's see, the lords, they don't have to follow a strict schedule. But usually, Treta Yuga, Lord Ramachandra appears and Krishna appears in Dwapar Yuga. But even that sequence can change also sometimes in universes because they don't have to follow a set pattern. But
Okay.
yes, the Leelas are happening.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here in the chat, we read Devaki Vasudev past life. We have discussed this before. Does anybody remember? Devaki Vasudev past life.
Yeah. Two saints, right? They were very close.
They
don't
had
remember.
done lot of austerities and they wanted Krishna as their son
Yeah,
in their
I don't
next.
remember the name.
Yes, Devaki and Vasudev previously were Prishni and Sutapa.
Oh, yeah.
And they did a lot of austerity to get Krishna as their son. And then they became Aditi and Kashyapa. Aditi and Kashyapa became parents of the Lord in which form?
Devadas, right? All Devadas. No?
Yeah, but Krishna's plenary form, which particular personality came as their son?
Vamandev.
Vamanadev, yes,
Vamanadev?
Vamanadev, correct. So, Prishni and Sutapa, they did austerities and then they took birth as Aditi and Kashyapa and then they came as Devaki and Vasudev. Okay. Anything else? Are we ready for the exam?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji Dhanurvanam. I have one question. We see that the ladies and some people getting anxious when the wrestling match was going on. So I was thinking that since they are outside of Vrindavan, so they will have the mood of reverence and they will know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Then why were they getting anxious? They should be thinking that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, so he will be able to kill Chanura and all the wrestlers very easily.
Yeah, so very good question. The thing is, outside of Vrindavan, and even in Vrindavan actually, Krishna puts them in and out of Yogamaya. Even now in the next chapter, you will see how now Devaki and Vasudev are very conscious of their position. So again, Krishna puts them under the covering of Yogamaya. Okay, so they come in and out of the covering of Yogamaya. Mathura residents, the parents of Krishna, and even the resident of Vrindavan, sometimes they come in and out of Yogamaya, the cover of Yogamaya. It's not always like that. Most of the time out of Vrindavan, it's like that, majority of the time. But there are some times when the Yogamaya covering is put on them. And this is one of those rare occasions. But largely in Vrindavan, the Yogamaya curtain is always there. And largely out of Vrindavan, the Yogamaya curtain is lifted. But it's not 24/7. They come in and out. Okay. Okay. So in your chat now, you can see the link to the exam.